No scissor.
Now, who's that?
Oh, scissor. Trout.
Miguel Trout.
Is that pre or post calf season-ending calf?
Oh, this is pre. This is 3 years ago. The sparrow stays inside. This guy's like the most high-pitched voice.
Are you ready? I'm going to start this live thing here.
You're all ready. Oh, yeah.
We're ready.
Oh, that's fucking
hold on.
late. God damn it.
Shh. No swearing.
I know.
Hey, everybody. It is Thursday, November 11th. It is time for the Prove It Live podcast. Before we begin, I'd like to mention that today is Veterans Day. We have a veteran on our podcast here. Mr. Mike Ferry is a former Marine. So thank you, Michael, for your service.
And also on top of that, happy 246th birthday to the United Marine Corps yesterday.
Yes.
Hurrah.
First one in, last one's out, right, Mike? That's what the
first to know. Yeah. First to go, last to know.
First to go, last to know. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to my very handsome co-host, Mr. Mike Ferry. Michael?
Kevin, thank you very much for the Veterans Day well wishes and mention of the Marine Corps birthday, Ryan, which was yesterday. Easily one of the things in my life that I would do over and over again 1,000 times. So for sure, like, I appreciate you. Thanks for serving. I'd like to say that there's no thanks necessary. It's definitely something that I cherished. All right, now moving along. Welcome to the Prove It Live podcast. I am Mike Ferry, your co-host from the Farm Baseball Performance Institute, along with the aforementioned Dr. Kevin McGovern, Perfect Motion Sports Therapy, and our fabulous producer at large, Ryan Gagne Frutis. We have an awesome show, a really cool show today, because we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to change up the order a touch, not forever, but just for today, because we've got so many things that we want to talk about. So today's going to be a little bit of a mashup. In fact, to start it off, the top of the order this week, we're not going to our fabulous producer, Ryan Gagne Frutis. We are going to one Kevin McGovern. So, Kevin, what's at the top of the order? What are we going to talk about? I know you wanted to talk about this.
Well, our top of the order, last week's show, we completely obliterated the teacher man, his stupidity, his ignorance, his bulliness for his high-level pattern hitting, which no one in the free world can hit a baseball like that, especially the poor kid that he had on as a demonstrator. So he came back and said, because we didn't do the pattern, that we didn't actually see that there was no weight on the front leg, even though it's impossible that there was no weight on the front leg. The bottom line is that video of that kid is dangerous. He's dangerous. He's in a space where he's trying to tell parents about kinesiology. And my guess is he's never been in a science class in his life, and he should really shut his mouth.
What's crazy, Kevin, is like, how does he say that you can see in, like, we're watching a video with our eyeballs?
Yes. And
he's saying, oh, no, it's that you're not seeing it. Like,
yeah, we're not seeing it. Well, it's funny because, after our producer extraordinaire talked about that New York Times or New York Post article, I went in and found someone sent me, maybe one of ours, actually somebody sent me, I can tell you right now, sorry. Jeff Fry, a former major leaguer who's in the war with the teacher man, sent me a clip of TikTok of him trying to explain that, meaning teacher man was in his basement looking at arguably one of the greatest home run hitters of all time, Barry Bonds. And Barry Bonds actually had all his weight on his back leg and did some flip, what he calls a snap of his wrist. And that's not what Barry Bonds does at all. Barry Bonds has the fastest, tightest hip turn in the history of mankind and doesn't do any snapping of his wrists. I mean, he may shake the bat or waggle the bat, but he doesn't snap his wrist like this guy's saying that he does. And anyone following that is an idiot. I'm sorry. This guy is just a bully, and I think he's going one-on-one with the aforementioned Jeff Fry, I believe, sometime this month, and I hope he should get pounded.
Oh, he will.
Because Jeff as we show in that video where that kid's literally looking at the ground with his bat like a croquet croquet, right? I mean, how is he hitting a baseball? How is he covering the plate? How is he able to get all four corners of the plate with his bat? And he's not. He will only hit the ball. And I've coached these high level pattern players in my men's league team. None of them can hit. You can throw the ball up, down. They can't hit. Their swing's not adjustable. Now, if the ball happens to hit the bat, like for Joey Gallo or Joey Callow, that happened. Happened 38 times last year. The pitcher actually hit the bat with the ball, because that's the only way he can hit home run with that windmill swing that he has.
Yeah.
Then the ball's going to go somewhere.
This is the essential flight path of a ball, right? Slightly downwards, relatively straight line. We're talking about fastballs, okay? -8, -10 degrees ish, okay? To try to take an approach where you're swinging like this, I mean, it's very easy to miss. It's so easy to miss. You can be just short, you can just be long. Instead of getting on plane with the pitch and trying to match it, that seems like basic geometry to me, right? I mean, that's right. Even, spatial ability.
But according to this guy, everyone in the major leagues does it. They just don't know they're doing it.
Which is what makes it dangerous to me. Okay. Because like you said, the people that are following it, the dummies, the adults that are for certain are. I feel bad for the kids that don't know any better. The kids, dads, moms, guardians, whoever's, paying for lessons for people or setting them up online and having them practice this stuff. They don't know any better. They're going to, the guy, he kind of talks a good game, he's confident in what he says. And so people are going to believe him. Now, this guy says, hey, look, every big leaguer does this. Now, when I have to say that, like, go watch, this is what I'm teaching you in your swing. Don't take my word for it. Go look at whatever big leaguer you want. You'll see what I'm asking them to do. You'll see it.
Right.
So to have them some mythical, thing where only the teacher man can see this thing, right? I mean, please.
I just asked, well, again, I'd say, are the kids getting better? But as we know, with baseball instruction, the worse you get, the more followers people the worse results, because it is inversely proportional. So I'd say, are these kids getting any better? There's no way they're getting better. No way. There's no possible way they're hitting baseballs with that swing. Falling back on one leg. Well, there's no way. I don't care how
the front shoulders up in the air, the head's tilted like this. You're literally going from here to here. You're viewing the ball. There's so many things wrong with it, but you mentioned about followers. It's like, look, you got people that are just good self-promoters, right? They know how to build a followers list, right? I mean, there's lots of people out there like that aren't nearly, the top in their, in their profession. They're not the top in there. I even hesitate to call it that with him. But they know how to get followers. They talk a good game. At the end of the day, it should be about results. It should be about, where you're, not where you're playing, where are your players playing? Are you getting kids into college? Are you getting kids into the pro levels? That sort of thing. That's the proof is in the pudding, right? I mean, it's that simple, and are you really developing anybody? His claim to fame is the Aaron Judge thing. Well,
Judge does not swing like that.
He doesn't swing like that. A and B, he was already, I believe, at least a professional baseball player before he didn't develop Aaron Judge. I mean, let's be honest here. So, that's in the name of like true development. And, we talk about how it's a long game. It takes a long time to master these movements that anyone that's played the game will tell you. And, practice makes permanent. So every rep you take is one step closer to being your permanent movement. It's got to be the right movement. And he's just.
And one thing we know that we've talked about, you can't hit a moving object at 90 miles an hour when your head is moving all over the place.
Oh, you can't even do it doing it with your arms and hands.
Right. No chance. So it's just insane. So we have to look up, Ryan, do you know when that little match of mano of Jeff Fry and this moron is? Because would love to like do a live show while we're listening to this. I mean, all you gotta do is grab any one of his students and have just someone throw fastballs in the upper part of the zone, and there's no way they're going to hit it. I mean, I don't care if the fastball is 60 miles an hour, they're not going to hit it.
No. And the other thing that goes along with that swing, sorry, Ryan, there was one last thing I want to say is that you know, and I've seen videos where people try to demonstrate that they can get to any ball in the zone, right? Watch their footwork, right? They have an inside pitch. They step way towards the third base, like coach's box. An outside pitch, they step way in the directions of first. Good luck doing that with a 90+ mile an hour fastball.
Exactly.
Good luck stepping in that direction.
Exactly.
Best of luck.
So we don't have to replicate the movement. I wouldn't even be. It would be a waste of my time to do something so stupid when I can see it with my own two eyes, how you're killing that kid's knee and his back and pelvis as you jam his facet joints with that reverse C and move his head all over the place. And he'll never, ever hit a baseball unless it is a beach ball.
First of all, I haven't seen this. A video just popped up as I was looking this up of Jeff Fry's impersonation of the TEACHERMAN. I don't watch it now, but I have to watch that later.
Yeah.
It should be fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to find, when they're going to do this, but
I think it's like the 18th at night, something like that. It's coming up soon.
His recent stuff, and this is a little bit of a segue to something we're going to be talking about in a little bit, but he's also kind of going after the scissor kick here, and talking, with this guy Joey Kuna.
Mm-hmm.
We'll bring him up.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the scissor kick later too.
We'll bring him up with, I guess.
Just been blocked by Joey.
Stealing. What do they say? What do they think about the flattery if someone steals your stuff? So yeah, we'll talk about that to Mr. Kuna. But so moving on, if there were some huge developments in the physical therapy world, and if anyone has a private practice that's insurance based, takes Medicare patients, or like a lot of these franchise PT places, this should be alarming to you from what I'm about to talk about. So there is and this is coming from someone who owned a 4 or 5 clinic operation. Okay. And one consultant once said this to me: if you follow everything in the Medicare guidelines, you can't open your doors, meaning you're operating at a constant loss with all the regulations that they have. If you ignore the regulations, you'll be in jail. So you want to try to fall somewhere in the middle. Okay. So obviously these guys out of Erie, Pennsylvania, this looks like Hurdle and Brown. There's an article. If you Google Hurdle and Brown, Erie, Pennsylvania, you come up with this article. Look like, 2 therapists. They've got a 5 clinic operation. The feds went in there and basically cleaned house. They've got 18 therapists that are on the indictment for fraud. Now, when I think of fraud or is, what has been known in the past are like what's called phantom visits. So Mike, you come in or you don't come in. I bill your insurance company. You've never been to my clinic. That's fraud. I've seen fraud in nursing homes where someone is literally nearly dead and they're driving for you to go and do physical therapy on someone who's not getting any kind of result. That I think is fraud. Seen it live. Okay. But these guys did something. I mean, now it looks like when they were under heat, they did something that was, they tried to cover their ass as you would say. But, so for those who don't know, if ever been to physical therapy, the rules of Medicare are pretty clear that if you're a Medicare patient and you're treated by a therapist, no one else can be treated at the same time. So there can't be Mrs. Jones and then you leave Mrs. Jones and go and treat Mike at the same time, because you can't bill for Mike or for Medicare at that same time. Okay. So if anyone's
one-on-one.
Yes, everything's got to be one-on-one. Now, they've got an aquatic center as well, and that has to be one-on-one, meaning that you have to have a pool with only one Medicare patient in at a time. So somebody here must have blown a whistle on these guys. They pissed off somebody, but I'm going to read some of the things that they're getting nailed for. And it may come, if anyone who has been to physical therapy, may come as a shock to you, okay, that these happen. First and foremost, unlicensed technicians were permitted to go into the treatment system and follow people along on their exercise. So what's an unlicensed person? a physical therapy aide, an exercise physiologist. All these are unlicensed.
And are they typically untrained as well, or like it's like
No, they're probably highly trained, but you can't bill for them, right? You can't do that. So if you and Ryan are in a clinic, you've got someone following you doing your exercises, and I bill for that, that's what happened here. Now, I can tell you that that's happening in 99% of the practices on the planet. It just is. Or at least when I was in the full-blown insurance game 10 years ago. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, you go by these places that are popping up, these chains every minute they're expanding. There's treating someone one-on-one in like Massachusetts when you're getting $55 or $60 reimbursement from some of these health insurance. How is that possible? How is it possible? The money's just when you're paying someone $60 an hour. How is it possible?
And so is this, let me stop you for a second. Like,
yeah.
Why is this happening? Is it just greed? I mean, is it people
No,
trying to trying to get as many people in as they can? Uh-oh, Kevin froze.
Not treating patients. Do we freeze there?
You froze. They got back.
Yeah. So it means that they're treating patients well, or they wouldn't have grown to that. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
true.
Like what's the outcome here? So here's another one. Group physical therapy. Now so for people to know, anything I do to you guys, do exercise, I do manual therapy, that's billed in 15-minute blocks, but one-on-one. So I can't have 7 of you in an office that I'm doing. I got one eye over here, billing therapeutic exercise at the same time, because that is what these guys got pinched for, right? You're supposed to bill what's called a group code. So a group means I got a bunch of people in here. Right. So that's 7, but that group code's like 1/10.
Right.
And it's not by minute. So I can't bill 4 group codes in a day. I bill 1.
So it's got to still be partially greed, all right? Because they could do it the right way, but they don't get paid as much if they do it that way.
Oh, they
sounds like.
Yeah, or they. I mean, they would, yes, and they would be very lean, very almost, literally almost a nonprofit is what they would be.
Okay, yeah, and that's I'm using greed. That's probably not the right word.
But the demand for therapist salaries. I mean, it would be nonprofit. Right. So, they allowed physical therapy assistants. Now, physical therapy assistants are licensed to bill for things that only should be done by a physical therapist. So that might be some manual therapy techniques or some things having to do with Medicare. Now here's where they really got in trouble. Some of the employees changed the patient schedule after the fact to conceal that Medicare patients were scheduled at the same time. So for those who have ever had an electronic medical record, which I've had in private practice since 1999, it has what's called an audit trail. So it says who went in and what they did. Even if it's I changed the period, I recapitalized someone's name, it keeps an audit for that reason. So when they got in trouble, somebody must start moving the patient around to lunch or whatever.
Following the crumbs.
Yeah. And then there were like 21 instances when the billing therapist for that day, who only worked 8 hours, probably billed for 25 because it just didn't add up, because what they were doing and essentially is seeing more than one patient per hour
and billing them per hour at it, and they're billing each per hour.
And I'm going to tell you that this is not unique to Erie, Pennsylvania. I can tell you that right now. Okay. So if these big boys, these big chains should be looking at this, read this, and probably had a heart attack. Okay. Because they're talking about students being billed. I mean, these places are taking students. They're talking about physician referrals and giving them gifts, which there's this other law called the Stark Law, which you essentially, you can't essentially buy referrals. Can't build
iron. Oh, I thought it was you can't build iron suits and fly.
Yeah. So, no, not that, not Tony Stark.
Oh, okay.
But that's so this is, I mean, with 18 therapists that they have, 5 offices, this has to be a $4 to $6 million operation. That if they essentially, let's just say they did it by the book, you're talking a $1 to $2 million operation, and you can't have 18. You can't do it. It just so I'm wondering, like, all of these chains that are popping up like
Yeah.
all over the place. I mean, dude, construction's a fortune. Like,
Right.
go try to
Right.
do something. Where is this money coming from? Right?
Are these
You're not-
franchises? Are they own, like, are they?
No, these guys are a five. They're a five. Those look privately owned, but their next thing would probably be, at that 5 mark. You either try to sell it or you got to
Right.
get to 10 is when you. But there's a lot of these chains around that are like swallowing up these private practices and then building more. I mean, some of them may get hospital rates. So for those who don't know, again, the how crooked the healthcare business is. Okay, hospitals get paid more for the same service. Okay, if you don't know that, and obviously when you go to hospitals, I'm not gonna, you're not getting your 15, 20-year experienced physical therapist because they're out in private practice. So hospitals get more money which to me is price fixing, but whatever.
Yeah.
Butter should cost the same.
Why is that?
That's a great question.
What's their justification? I guess I should say.
That's a great question because apparently they do it without fraud, or I'm not even sure what
I'm not building the fraud costs to the rest of them.
I'm not even sure why it is, but I mean, it's not that much more, but I mean, Medicare, it doesn't matter. Medicare, there's a cap on the amount. I think it used to be like $2,800 a year or something like that. But this is bad.
So let me ask you, what happens to them? Like, let's say that this turns out that they kick in.
The feds are in, so someone's going to jail.
Wow, it's that. Oh,
I would think. I mean, you've got here was a brazen fraud scheme. I mean, everyone was in on this. I mean, you've got 18 therapists that, like, I just looked on their website. Every one of their therapists is named in this indictment. But sometimes with this white collar crime, I mean, you're talking 30 years. I mean, you can murder someone and not get 30 years.
Right.
I mean, so
because it's fraud.
Yeah. I mean, if you look, every one of their therapists is listed here. So, I mean, obviously now I would assume that place is closed down, or, I mean, I don't know if if I had an appointment there tomorrow, if anyone's going to be there to treat me when I showed up.
Well, so this is the thing. So, like, if this came from, I don't know, a dissatisfied client and said, oh, look, I'm supposed to be getting one-on-one treatment. I'm not fixed. I think you got to look at it one way versus, if they have a bunch of satisfied clients and they're fixing people and they're not, staying, injured or immobile, whatever the case might be, for longer than they would had they done it this other way. What's the real issue here? I guess is insurance companies the ones who are like, hey, no,
because it doesn't look like, so it's just the Medicare. Like, it doesn't say Blue Cross here, but what happens is that everyone bows to Medicare,
right?
But again, like, you don't see, defending the physical therapy here. You don't see the MRI place, right? How many unneeded MRIs are there? I mean, like, yeah, dude, you have an ankle sprain. I know I don't need a $2,000 test.
Right.
So if we're talking about waste and abuse, there's so much waste and abuse in the medical model that, I mean, but these guys did, when you start to hide things and cover things up, like if they just went at it like, like, let's just say, if it would have taken 25 visits to the hospital, look, I got them better in 11.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay. You could look at it that way, but when you start to go and there's talks about here, one of the guys encouraged student and interns to provide misleading information to authorities. That's not, and moving people around, that's, we talk about fraud is intent to deceive.
Yeah.
That's certainly intent.
Fraud's bad. Okay.
Yeah. But some of the practices here, I can guarantee, are done all over the country. Guaranteed, because there's more than one patient treated an hour. That group code is probably sparingly used anywhere. And people should look at this, and this should send shock waves across the physical therapy world. And that does not apply here to Perfect Motion Sports Therapy. We are concierge-based physical therapy and well out of the insurance game, because you can't survive. You just cannot survive with all the regulations, and then stuff like this happens.
Okay.
Which is sad. But,
good stuff. Hey, I'm sure we'll have follow-ups to this story. It sounds like it's obviously there's lots to go from here. So, but
what's next?
Let's get back to some diamond sports here. And
yes, we had a listener call in or email alert us.
We had some alerts. So a couple of things here. Now, typically, as you know, we would typically do like a tip, or would take questions, or answer questions, or we go right to the why would you do that? We're going to do a bit of an extended version of why would you do that, because there's a few things that we thought, look, when we put these shows together, obviously we want to look for a couple, why would you do that videos, whatever. We had a few things that we thought were totally worthy of talking about, covering, and more important, passing information to you guys. So I don't even know which one we want to start with, Kevin, but
well, obviously I called you during a couple of days ago because I got heated.
Yep, you get heated sometimes.
I got a little heated.
A little bit.
A little Irish temper. I know.
No, you did a little bit. You insulted a little bit.
I swallowed a lot of aggression and a lot of pizzas, right? Yeah. So, a former guest, our guest, Ed from California, alerted me to the fact that someone's been using my proximal to distal. And I will say that the words proximal to distal do not appear in any kinesiology book anywhere in the world. And I've owned proximal, the number 2 distal website since about 2011, when this kid wasn't even born.
All right. And my response to you, Kevin, you're being heated, right?
I was heated. Yep. Go ahead.
Because I gave you a little bit of a Rudyard Kipling quote, yes. And I'm paraphrasing the exact quote, but it's essentially that you can steal my ideas, but you can't steal my mind. So I'll leave you guessing and stealing and 10 years behind. Yes. And that's true. You can't beat the original, right? It's all about the original. It's flattery at the end of the day.
And what was the other one you just brought up about Elon Musk? That was another good one.
Oh, Nikola Tesla. He says, I don't mind that they stole my idea. I mind that they don't have any of their own. Right. And that's where we're in. That's the world that we're living in, right? These trends. And this is a perfect segue into, there was a little bit of a debate, between the scissor kick swing and turning the back foot, etc. And, you go on social media, Kevin, right? And this is like, obviously the crux of the existence of our show. Mm-hmm. And you'll just find these trends. We talked about the pitching and, how, hip to shoulder separation is the hot topic, and then spin rate, and then whatever the topic is. And everybody wants to chime in and it's like a Me Too type of thing. It's like, hey, I know this stuff too. And I'm an expert too. And look at my twist on this. Look at my take on this. And it's sad. And I can tell you with the hitting, I've heard about, they share a similar name to our facility where, we're the Farm Baseball Performance Institute. And this guy from the Farm Systems, I think it's called, his name is Jeff Kuna, right?
Joey
Kuna. And he is, he's selling this idea of a scissor kick in the swing. And what that means is, the best examples, if you look at Jose Altuve, he does it a lot in his swings.
Like you mean scissors, like.
So like, it's Ryan, why don't you pull up the video? I think Ryan has a video. Yeah. Ish. Yeah.
And he's also the one, just so for full disclosure, Mr. Alleged proximal to distal that he's using. But we'll let him take that.
Well, first of all, if you're gonna use the proximal to distal, then to teach this swing as he's describing it doesn't work, right?
No,
so
of course not.
So I'd like to bring up this scissor thing because I'm sure that if you're a parent or a coach, you've heard this. You've probably heard it talked about. I don't think you see a scissor in this one, Ryan, but
yeah, it's not so much on this one.
So as Ryan is pulling this up, you'll see it a little bit here, and there's plenty of examples of it. You can see, whoa. you see the back foot come back as a right-handed hitter. The back foot comes back towards the third base dugout. Now you can see in all these are inside pitches. I'm going to explain to you what is really happening here. If you look at Jose Altuve's foot right there, Ryan, if you go back and stop it, you know where I want to stop, right there, foot plant.
It's not a passive movement. It's moving as a result of the shift, right?
Exactly. What happens is when hitters and you have a lot of hitters that will
land.
An
active movement. I misspoke.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You know who else you'll see this in their swing oftentimes, and again, you're not going to see this all the time with these guys' swings. That's I promise you that. And once again, don't take my word for it. Go look at some videos. But when you see this happens, as a guy like Jose Altuve, he lands closed, meaning his front foot is closer to the plate than his back foot. Okay, he's not his toes aren't on the same linear plane. They're closed off, and so what happens there is you're going to restrict a bit of your hip rotation, right? I mean, your hips turn generally 90 degrees, right, Kevin? And if your front foot's more closed off, you're not going to quite get that 90 degrees. And particularly on inside pitches, you have to clear a path to get to that ball. And so this, I believe, is also an inside pitch on Jose Altuve here. You know, as he begins to rotate, since the foot's already back, okay, the weight is then shifted to the front leg in rotation. When the back leg pops off the ground, it's going to go in that direction. It's already back in that direction. This is not rocket science. You're going to get back foot lift on a swing if you're doing it right. Okay. Not all the time. It's not a necessity, right? But if you're rotating your hip, okay, your hips are rotating into a firm front leg, your front heel is down, that leg is planted. You're going to rotate to the point where it doesn't rotate anymore. And my example always is if a car were to crash into a brick wall at 80, 90 miles an hour, that car's not just going to stop. The whole back end of the car is going to lift up in the air, right? And so you have the same thing here. You've got forced rotation into a firm front foot. Another example that Kevin mentioned, right, is just if you were to walk, which we talk about all the time, the three movements, right, of squat, scapular depression, and walking. That walk, if you're a right-handed batter, okay, a swing would be the same direction as if you were walking to your left. The left foot stays down, the right foot comes up. So the foot lift is a normal thing. But to teach that you should try to drive your foot backwards towards the third base dugout is bananas. And I believe they even have a device that they've come up with.
Oh, yeah.
To sell you that is going to help teach you do that. And again, go look at Jose Altuve's swing because we got other videos. And by the way, we didn't have to search for these. You know, in fact, if anything, we had to search for the ones where he did display a obvious scissor kick, as they're calling it. But you know, there's and I think they also listed in this Mike Trout as one of the guys that does this as well.
Yes, I believe Trout was one of them. Right.
Or videos of Mike Trout's swing. I only found it.
I mean, isn't this truly like a follow through? Like almost like because you're spinning so much on that closed front leg that your legs or you fall over.
Well, that's the thing. Your back foot's going to lift, right? Because of that force rotation, your back foot's going to lift. You're channeling all of the energy basically to rotate off that front leg, and the energy of your hips, your midsection, proximal to distal, ultimately comes out the barrel. That's what you want. That's what you're hoping to do, right? So this is the one that I think he did do it a little bit, and you can see that
and they even say it right here, Trout creating space for inside pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there you go. So that's.
But his foot's lifting off because look at all his weight shift to the front leg, which is different from last week's conversation where no weight's on the front leg.
Correct. Right. Which is what you want. This is what you want to do. But exactly. And honest to God, I didn't read this beforehand, but I'm not inventing this stuff. This is just fairly obvious stuff. If you understand baseline kinesiology and the baseball swing, he's got to clear some space. He's looked like he's kind of beat on this inside pitch. It looks like he's even a little bit late on it. Right. And so his back foot's going to come back to create some space for his hands to come inside. And, rather than rotating inward towards it. And that's how you want to hit an inside pitch properly. If it's a 2-0-3-1, you're looking middle in and you want to catch that out in front. This is obviously not that situation. And so it's just one of those fad things. Again, we talked about the squish the bug before and how, we don't necessarily teach the squish the bug. But if I have an 8-year-old kid, I'm going to teach him to pivot his foot because that foot's got to turn. The back leg's got to do something as the hips rotate. Otherwise, you're going to get your feet stuck and it will hamper or actually even sometimes eliminate proper hip rotation. So that's what I have to say about that with the scissor. I hope that's people understood that. All I have to say about that.
I do have one throw in that I have to. So I was perusing I know our esteemed producer's been on this site.
You're doing what now?
Perusing. Caramel.
Talking about browsing and perusing.
Yeah, same thing. Perusing.
Oh, that could be a new word.
I'm perusing
now.
Listen, I went to Northeastern where the N stands for knowledge. Okay. All right. Exactly. Knowledge. So so I was browsing the web and I, got onto that baseball instruction site with this Fensky character talking about the Tom House quoting, lift leg, go fast, drag foot. Okay. So I'm like, I can't even pace this. Like, go fast, drag back foot.
Yep. Yeah. That's not like contradictory in any way, right?
Go fast, drag back foot.
You know what the back foot reminds me of?
Why am I dragging the back foot?
I'll tell you why. Look at a drag race car. How's it got to stop?
With the parachute.
That's it. That's the back foot. It's the parachute. So that's their decelerator.
That's it. That's what you think it is?
That's it.
Well, please don't drag your one, you'll save on cleats. Two, it's stopping hip rotation, everything else that your body wants to do.
Forward momentum,
forward
force.
Please don't do that. It's creating arm lag, which of course these people say that there's no such thing as arm lag. There is. When you accelerate your arm against gravity and not with gravity, it's arm lag. Every single Tommy John injury is a result of accelerating your elbow and arm against gravity. Gravity wins. It's been around for a while. Stop dragging your toe. Finish your pitches.
And what this all boils down to, everybody, is that people all try to create a niche for themselves. They all want their thing that they're known for, whether it be, a pivot, scissor kick or, hip to shoulder separation, the quote unquote, I hate calling it high level pattern, but that's what they call it, HLP, right? This thing. They all want to have their niche. And by the way, it works. Sadly, it does. Right. So they become known for one thing and people buy into it. And then you become a disciple of that thing. And if nobody else is teaching what you're teaching, well, they're all going to come to you. Right. So, I mean, I guess it's a decent business model. But if you're really, truly in the interest of teaching baseball and teaching kids the right way, there should be a lot more cohesion out there, a lot more.
It's got to make sense. It
has
to make sense. You have to be able to prove it live.
Yep.
Like this ding dong and pool hall owner, he can't prove it. There's no way. Put the machine on 80 miles an hour. No one's hitting it. Then throw a curveball. They're not hitting it. You can't hit it with your head moving around. First of all, just look at that.
And here's another example. How do you argue it? You argue it. You go, no. Look, that your own video. He's not doing X, Y, and Z. You go, oh yes, he is. You just don't see it.
I don't see it.
It's magical.
That was the best. I don't see it.
You gotta wave your magic wand. You can pull a rabbit out of your hat.
I
okay.
see it now.
Yeah.
Right.
I see it. Oh, you're an illusionist. Okay.
His front foot is actually levitating, like David Blaine. He's levitating.
Exactly.
He's levitating.
Misdirection.
Yes. Look over there.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so, when you have, I don't know. I mean, I don't even call that plausible deniability because it's not plausible, but he gets people to, I guess, go, okay, I guess, hey, am I doing it right? I can't see if I'm doing it right. Am I? Right. Well, I'm doing it right. Okay.
Am I doing my snap, crackle? Can you imagine a snap? I mean, how do you, in the split second, you have a time to decide that you're worried about tilting your bat? Like what are you insane?
If you're here, you're not snapping your wrist anyway.
Here's someone that doesn't do that.
Yeah, was that like Manny Ramirez?
Can you press escape?
Like the greatest right-hand hitter of all time, arguably. Look at this. Boom.
Yep.
Boom.
Definitely the sweetest right-handed swing that I
remember him talking about that he would like play with the pitcher. He'd look bad on a curveball just to have him throw it again. Yeah,
on fastballs too. Yeah, get up there, set up, swing late. Not to go off on the tangent, but a very basic sort of mental approach to hitting is just that with kids, everyone's always so early. They're so anxious and so afraid to miss. And I'm like, dude, there's nothing wrong with being a little late in a fastball if you haven't timed it yet. Because if you're late in a fastball, you pretty much just guaranteed yourself another fastball, right? I mean, at least especially at like the amateur youth levels, because you're not going to throw anything else to help speed his bat up, right? So Manny was a master at that. As lots of professional hitters are, but I mean, it's arguably, like you said, you could make an argument he's the best right-handed hitter that there ever was. I personally would say, my own personal opinion, he had the nicest right-handed swing that I have ever seen, without question. This is Manny Ramirez I'm talking about, of course. And that little video was great. I mean, it's a great. It's on like that boomerang loop, and you can see just like his backside, like his hips rotating and everything coming together all towards the ball. No scissor kick, no back elbow collapsing, no flipping or anything, no snapping. Right. Yeah.
Snap it.
Yep.
Snap it.
Just turn your body.
Exactly.
Take your hips and turn them. Your hands.
All right.
Will find the ball.
What do you boys got going on this weekend?
Well, wait a minute. We got one more. We got a video here. Are you trying to?
We have a video. What do we got?
Yeah.
I thought we were done. Why would you do that? We have another one.
This is the extended Uber version of why would you do that? We didn't even do the
kid.
We didn't even do that yet.
Oh, all right. Go ahead. Ready?
This is the amateur hour.
It is.
Come on, Kev.
Literally, we don't get paid for this, so it is amateur hour.
It is right.
Why would you do that?
Right. I think no one's paying me. I don't have a show prep thing.
Speaking of producer, where's our vid?
Yeah, where's our vid?
Right here.
That mustache you got going on. I'm a little concerned about that. In a van down by the river. Okay, here we go. This one, yes.
Okay. Now, again, we said it's a little bit different this week. So this is not like we're looking at the drill and saying this is a dumb drill, wacky drill. But we thought this would be a great way to show what not having your knee inside your back foot, not having proper postural alignment, or just having proper posture, period, at load position will do to your swing. So what we have here is we have a lot of linear movement, right? So we have back to front. And so you can see that where this hitter begins his swing from load position, his head shifts forward, his whole body shifts forward, his center line moves forward. You don't want that. You want to rotate on a stationary axis against that good solid front post, which is your leg, which we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And what you get instead here is a shift. That's going to now. It's not that this kid is never going to hit the ball. He good. And overall, his swing's not bad, but he's leaving a lot of force, a lot of power on the table. And if we can see, if you could try to pause this, where his back knee right there. Okay. Good job. Now, can you get rid of that line? Can you see that?
$bucks.
What's that?
You can't get that
the
line.
big bucks. Oh, look at this.
Now
look
you've
at
done
this.
it.
Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Right
Great.
there.
Okay, perfect. Now,
Perfect.
You can see we always talk about, we want the weight on the inside of both feet. That's where you're strongest, right? You want your adductors engaged. You want you to be in a little mini squat position. This hitter's back knee is pointed towards the catcher.
Mm-hmm.
His back foot, his right foot, you can actually even see a little bit of daylight, or shadow really, underneath his foot on the inside part of his right foot. So he's on the pinky toe side of his foot, Kevin.
That's no good, Mike.
No bueno, right?
No
bueno.
No goodo. No, I don't know your language. No good.
You can't rotate from there, right, Kev?
Well, you can't, but what happens is, and this actually happened to A-Rod at the same time when A-Rod came back from his hip. So looking at this from a common sense, let's just look at his tibia and his foot. If that was a pillar or a piling, would you build upon that? But if that's crooked, the answer to that is no way. Okay, so you can rotate, but remember the rule, we have to have a stable pillar to rotate. So he does rotate, rotates pretty well, but what he does is he has to plant that right foot first and then rotate. So A-Rod, when he came back from his hip, what no one in the Yankees noticed is that he had the same issue. He had a weak glute groin on that hip side, and he swayed just like that. Like, he didn't have a problem identifying the pitches. He knew it was a fastball, but he was late every single time. And then he started to cheat, and the Yankees ate $28 million because nobody fixed this thing with his foot, that we didn't get him to have a stable post to rotate around. And if Ryan starts to move that video, you'll see that foot has to go into the arch side, and then he can rotate off.
Right. And that was the point. Is
it's late. It's just late.
Yeah. He's not in a position to rotate there, right? And that spot that you can freeze that again.
Yeah, if we were able to slow this down, you would see that foot moves first, gets to the arch side. Now that becomes stable, and then he can spin around that.
Right, exactly. So if you can't perform the motion from here, your body's going to adjust so that it gets to a position where it can, and therein lies your sway, and you're rocking back. You're getting back to the inside, so it knows it has to go there, but he's putting himself in a bad position. And again, you have a linear shift, which it's going to make your swing longer. Obviously, it's an added step. So that's going to, make fastballs that he probably should be able to hit more difficult to hit, or even seem like he can't hit them or can't catch up to them.
You're just late. That's the whole, and we're talking as you said about, timing the split second, and that's all it takes. Now, maybe he fouls it off, maybe he misses it, maybe it doesn't get to the meat part of the bat, and that's it. I mean, that's because of that one footfall. So, for anyone, as soon as you take the body over their pinky toe, you can take someone and throw them down to the ground. I mean, that's how you take someone down in martial arts. Get them over their pinky toe. They have no balance. So just looking at that needs to be corrected, and everything else should flow. But I mean, his rotation was good, but bad base.
Once he got to that centered position, he rotated really well. It's actually a good little swing. It's why structurally, they build big buildings with the strongest part of that building in the center, not on the outsides, right? And so it's just an easy way to think about it, right? When you're on the pinky toe, you're on the outside, like you're strictly, you're making a building with the structure on the outside. It should be in the center, correct. And then you can rotate on a. Oh, I just almost pulled my thing out. And then you can.
I don't think you
rotate
can say
with
that.
Force.
I don't think you can say that on the podcast.
Oh, is this thing?
Oh, yeah. It's for kids,
Yep. Cheering.
Yeah.
All right. Now we can talk about what we're doing for this weekend. What are we doing this weekend?
Well, before that, I just, I did get some groceries that are being delivered today with
Peapod. Is Peapod still a thing?
No, yeah, they're still a thing. No, Amazon, not Whole Foods, Amazon Fresh. Okay. $297, dude.
Yeah. Just made Bezos $297 richer.
Right. I mean, it's insane. The price of stuff is off the chart. Off the charts.
Yes.
You buy.
Well, I haven't. So I bought some pork chops. I bought some ground beef, but the rest are like, bread, crack, which is
a loaf of bread containing milk, stick of butter,
which is Diet Pepsi for me. That's my, vegetables. It adds up, man. 72 items. I hadn't shopped in a couple of weeks.
Loaf of bread containing milk, stick of butter.
Yeah, dude, loaf of bread's like $6. Insane.
That's crazy.
Right. Insane. It's only getting worse.
That's BANANAS.
But no, I don't know what I'm doing this weekend. I might so is it supposed to be nice? What's the weather like? I don't even know.
It's a good question.
It is a question. I'm gonna tell you right now. It is going to be
rainy on Saturday.
Oh, I have sunny on Saturday. I have sunny on Saturday and 59, sunny on Sunday and 52. That's what I have. Yeah. So you know what? It doesn't matter because it's going to do whatever it does anyway. And our meteorologists have no clue.
I know.
By the way, were they not better? I swear, like when we were kids, the meteorologists seemed to be more accurate before the Doppler radar and all this other stuff. Doing it the old way, like calling the guy in Canton, Ohio, and go, "Hey, what's it doing there?"
Right? They can't get the weather at all.
Because that's going to be here in a day. Yeah, they fail so miserably at it.
I mean, I would just look out the window, right? Look out. Okay, good. You know what I mean? Like that's like I don't expect you to go crazy, but yeah.
You have those rock. You ever see those rocks? They're like like a gag gift, right? And it's like it's a weather forecaster. It's like if rock is wet, it's raining. If it's got ice, it's freezing. All that sort of stuff.
Right.
And honestly, you're probably just as good, or you're maybe even better off going with one of those. But
so is this a time we could do like a shameless plug?
Do a shameless plug. Go and plug
away. So I do have I don't know if you guys know I have an actual app now that's really just has my logo on it. It's kind of built on top of another app, but I got a pretty significant coaching offer that's going to come out for Black Friday. Won't
Nice.
release it. I won't release it now. But you know, in this day, if we think that COVID is going away, like tomorrow, next week, next year, it ain't. Okay. And the best system that we have to you know, combat that is our immune system, and exercise, movement, nutrition help build our immune system, and we need to move more as human beings, including myself. But yeah,
Mhm.
so that's so I'll be able to follow people along, make some customized exercise programs that they can actually do from their home. They don't even have to come in here.
Yeah, and we're working on the same for baseball.
Nice.
Not happening by Black Friday, but we are working on it. There you have it.
There
Do
we
you wear
go.
one of those T-shirts that makes it look like you have sleeve tattoos, Kev? Like what?
No, this is actually an undershirt. It's yeah, but no sleeve tattoos. Is that what
Ed
this is
Hardy?
supposed to look like? No,
Ah.
just it's like just it's kind of my Dylan McKay t-shirt over long sleeve shirt from 90210 look, which is back. Right. The late great. That poor guy's dead now too.
He's deed.
He's deed. Yes, he's deed. So all right. Well, hey,
right,
have a great
kids.
week, Evan. Thanks for listening, and